Thursday. Today we are going to make a fun fold, a slimline fold, and we're going to be using the new sweet Inspiring Imperfections, and it has the absolute best story around it. I can't wait to share that with you. If you love today's card, make sure you like and subscribe to this video, share it with your friends, and remember, when you order $50 or more from my online store this week, you're gonna get a freebie card kit from me with all the parts and pieces and all the die cuts to make today's card, to make actually 3 of today's cards. So you won't wanna miss that. That is super fun. I love spoiling you with freebies, right? So make sure that you hit that mark before tax and shipping and after rewards so that I can spoil you with a freebie from me. All right, I got other news. Right now, if you're watching this at video launch, we are in a fun promotion from Stampin' Up! For free shipping. Ah, that's my favorite. Who loves to pay for shipping, right? Not me. I love when it's free shipping because that means I get more goodies for my bucks, right? So if you are watching this live, you will notice that from July 23rd, it started yesterday through tomorrow, so Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, 2025, we have 3 days of free shipping, so you won't want to miss that. You can hop on my store. There's a link to shop on stampinqueenbee.com, and you can grab all the things we're going to share today and put them in your cart, right? So also, you can find on my blog, you can find the printable tutorial for today's card that we're going to make. So let me show you this awesome suite. So this is Inspiring Imperfections, and it is this beautiful kind of a pottery set, florals, some florals in there and some great sentiments. We're going to be using You Inspire Me today. And there are these broken pottery kind of pieces. You could also, I've seen them used as branches as well for some of the flowers that are in there. There is coordinating dies, of course. So you've got the dies that die cut each of the images. You've got some separate kind of bonus dies. You've got these 2 that also die cut those images. And we have a banner for some of the sentiments in here. So I love, love, love that. There's also a coordinating embossing folder. We're going to use that today. This one is called Join Together. It's a 3D embossing folder, so it gives you real good depth right on there, so you can see all those fun designs. And if you notice, all of this pottery looks kind of broken, and that is the fun story behind this set. So there is some designer series paper as well. Let me show you that real quick. So you can see all of these kind of broken pottery lines with this foiled gold. All of this is kind of like broken pottery that might have been put together, right? And so this is actually called, if I'm saying it right, Kintsugi-Inspirations. That's what the designer paper is called, Kintsugi-Inspirations. And kintsugi is a Japanese term, and it is kind of the art of putting together this broken pottery. And the story behind it is, you know, when pottery gets broken, we sometimes think it's not the most beautiful, right? Because it's all broken. Well, what they have done is they put together in this art, this kintsugi art, they take that pottery that got broken and they put it together using gold. And so the story kind of behind this is that this broken pottery that they've put back together is even more beautiful than maybe it was originally, that those broken pieces almost make it more beautiful, right? Kind of like us, kind of a little life lesson in there, right? All right, well, let me show you today's card. Let me move this out of the way. and show you today's card. So it is a fun fold, an easy fun fold. This is a Slimline card, and what's great about this is you can put these in any business size envelope. So it's going to be super easy to mail because you just use one of those business size kind of standard envelopes that we probably all have in our office drawer, right? So we've got our You Inspire Me. We're going to use some fun gold ribbon today, and we're going to do 2 different techniques using some two-tone cardstock. So let's get started. Let me bring in my trimmer here. Got my trimmer, and this is just a piece of 8.5 by 11 thick basic white. I like to use the thick basic white. Let me just open up that trimmer. So I love that this arm on the trimmer just comes out. So we actually have 17 inches worth of trimmer space there, right? So we're gonna go ahead and cut this down. Remember, you don't have to write down any of the measurements today because on the free printable PDF that will be on my blog tomorrow, and if you are an email subscriber, it'll get emailed you today. You will get the free printable PDF tutorial to download. Okay, so we're just gonna cut this 8.5 by 11. We're gonna cut it down to 7 by 9. 7 by 9. We'll just put our scraps aside for later. And then we're just gonna score this down the middle at 3.5. And that is really how simple it is to create today's Slimline fold. So let me grab my bone folder here. We're just going to fold this in half. We're gonna bury that bump. That's how I learned it anyway. Bury that bump of the score line. And now we have our easy Slimline fold. So Slimline just means it's slim, right? It's a thinner, longer type card. Then we have some of that designer paper. So I loved this print. I love the gold foiling. Hopefully the camera's picking that up well. It's just so beautiful. We've got some kind of light blue behind those flowers. And I love how they kind of color outside the lines. Do you notice that? It's not fully colored in. That's a great little lesson, right? On when we're coloring in some things, we don't always have to color in the lines. And then the back side, always so pretty too. So we're just gonna take some liquid adhesive. We're going to add this right to our card front. Just kind of center that on there. Easy so far, right? All right, now we're going to stamp our sentiment. So we've got our die cut sentiment piece here. Let's bring in our stamps. And every few videos, I love to just put them together so that you can see how easy these are. So they come on a sheet. If you're a new stamper, our stamps come on a sheet like this. These ones are clear, so they're made out of photopolymer. And we've got our stamp there. Let's grab our blocks. So you need like one set of blocks. I have a few because I like to just have each stamp have its own block. And then you're just gonna pick it right up. You're gonna put it down on your table and you're gonna pick that stamp up with your block. And then when you're done, you'll just clean it. And then look, it just releases right off. So no more having to, have the old wooden stamps, right? Where they take up so much room. I love our thin cases. So you just put your stamp down on your table, take your block over it, push it down on it, and it'll pick it right up. And then they are sticky backed. So, well, not sticky backed, but whatever they're made out of, the photopolymer clings right to your block and you can reuse it over and over and over and over again. So we've got Misty Moonlight here. We're just going to open that up, put this to the side, ink up our You Inspire Me greeting here. We're just gonna stamp that down and easy, right there, easy peasy, right? Okay, while we have our ink out, let's also grab this kind of floral pottery. We'll set that one down. Let me grab that block. And the same thing, we're just going to pick that right up. All right, well, I have some two-tone cardstock here, and you can use either side. I think we'll use the dark side here. And we're just gonna ink this up. I love our two-tone cardstock because look, you actually get two colors, two-tone, right? Two colors on one sheet of paper. So the one side is the darker side and one is a lighter side. So we're just gonna stamp that down. I like to hold it there a second to make sure the ink transfers well. And there you have our beautiful pottery image. And then what we'll do is we would take our dies, we would take this pot die and we would run that through our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and magic of TV, it would come out like so. We would just die cut that right out. All right, then I would take, and I kind of pre-did this because I wanted to show you, I would take my two-tone cardstock again, and so this is Misty Moonlight, and I would die cut some of these pottery pieces, right? Just the plain pottery pieces that we didn't stamp, just plain on the paper. You would take it out and that's how it would look. And then what we'll do, we would take our embossing folder. Isn't this just beautiful? I think you can see all that pretty designs, and you've got that broken pottery right through there, right? So we would put this in our embossing folder. There you can see it. We would run that through, and then I did that on a few different colors because I really wanted to show you some of these fun techniques. But then it comes out, so here's a couple of different colors here. This is the light and the dark side of our two-tone cardstock, but look how beautiful that is. So you want to die cut first and then run it through your embossing folder, and you will get these beautiful images. If you run it through first and then die cut, sometimes the images press down, so you want to die cut first and then emboss, then run it through your embossing folder. So I did that a few times because I want to show you a couple of techniques that we're going to do with these embossed and die cut images today. So the first one is some sanding. I'm sure you've seen this. This is just a nail buffer, like from Dollar Tree or wherever, Sally's, Target, wherever. And we're gonna take this on the gritty side, and we're just gonna go ahead and sand down our two-tone cardstock. So it works like this on two-tone cardstock versus regular cardstock because our two-tone cardstock is actually white core, which means the inside of the paper at its core is white, and they dye it so that the color is on top. But when you sand it, you get that beautiful kind of white showing through, and when it's on an embossed image like this, then you really can see those lines showing through. Now you can do that on lighter as well. So this is some pretty in pink, and you can see that the white will show through beautifully on that as well. All right, so that's one technique with two-tone paper, two-tone cardstock. You bring in some grid paper here and clear some space. So this is just some grid paper. Now there's a couple of things that you can do. So here is a technique that I did with a petal pink one, where you take your ink pad and you run it over the embossed image, and it will deposit color kind of all over. So everywhere that is raised up kind of catches that color, and the harder you push, the darker it gets. So that's one version. Here is a white version that just a piece of basic white that I took a blending brush and just lightly added a little bit of color to that one. And what we're going to do today is similar to that. So I'm going to show you a technique. This is some petal pink, and this is just a little bit of Post-it tape. I like it because it's not real tacky, and it's great for holding your dies in place, but it's also great when you need to blend on something that's smaller. So I'm just going to take that and kind of wrap it around and stick it to my scrap paper. And then I'm going to take my die cut that I did and set that down. So if I didn't do this and I put my finger there and then tried to blend, a couple things happen. One, I have ink all over my finger, and two, everywhere that my finger is, ink is not getting onto your paper, and so sometimes you have like fingerprint marks on there if you are trying to hold it down, right? And so we know we have to die cut it so it's a smaller piece. And so this little technique of kind of temporarily sticking it to your grid paper has really worked for me. So then we're just going to get some ink onto our blending brush. This is the larger of our blending brushes. We have two sizes, and I like to label mine so that I don't mix colors. And then what happens is I don't have to wash my brushes. And the more that I use them, you can see the more ink that's been deposited on there. And I actually think that they start working better the more ink that they have in them. So we're just gonna go ahead and kind of start on this right side here. And I'm just gonna lightly, kind of circular motion, go over this piece and add a bit of this misty moonlight. So it almost gives it like a shadow. Do you see that? And it puts that misty moonlight ink right onto our petal pink. And then because I used that kind of repositionable tape, we'll call it, it pulls right off super easy, and there's no inky fingers. Not that that's a bad thing, but there's also no finger spots on my image. So we are going to use that one as well on today's project. We'll just put this aside, but that little sticky trick has really helped me. So let me bring back in my card here, and we will finish our beautiful card up. So I'm going to start with some liquid glue. This is the image that we stamped. So I'm just going to go ahead and add this right to my card, right on the left side there. Okay, then we're going to take our petal pink that we did ink blending on, and we're going to pop this up with some dimensionals. Let me grab my dimensionals pack so that you can see it. This is how they come. You actually get 3 full sheets, and I think there are 300 dimensionals in this package. So isn't that cool? I love our dimensionals. They are kind of hexagon shaped, and they're pretty much just a foam adhesive, so they give you a little bit of height on your projects. And so let me get in camera here, but we're just gonna peel these off and stick them right to our ink blended pot here. So tell me in the comments if you had heard that story before about this Japanese Kintsugi art, and if you were as wowed by it as I was. I think it's just such a great story and such a great lesson. So we've gone ahead and put that on there. We're going to take our sanded pot that we sanded down, and we're going to go ahead and add dimensionals to this one as well. There we go. We'll peel the backings off here. So easy. And then we're just gonna add this right kind of over this piece. And I love how our ink blending just shows right through, right? It doesn't get covered up or anything. It just kind of almost looks like a great shadow, almost like a shadow from this pot here, right? Beautiful. Okay, now let's get our sentiment. So I've already pre-cut a small piece from our two-tone cardstock. So we're going to take our You Inspire Me and add just a bit of liquid adhesive to that. And this is cut almost the same size with just a tiny little border right around that. So it almost just gives it a little bit of a highlight, right? Then I'm going to bring in some Stampin' Seal Plus adhesive. Now this is my favorite adhesive to use with any kind of a ribbon. I just think it holds it so well. So let's see if I can get that picked up. There you go. So do you see I just put like 3 little lines of some Stampin' Seal there. And we are going to use this beautiful, there we go, this beautiful ribbon. This is called Open Weave Trim. And after I told you that story of the broken pottery, I was going through what was I going to put on this card. And this trim, just to me, look like those broken pieces that were put together with the gold. I mean, it looks just like it was made for that, right? So I'm going to take just a few inches of this, just trimming it with some ribbon scissors. So probably just like about 3 inches of that. And then where we put that seal, here it's sticky, right? So we're just going to add an angle. We're just going to set that right to it. So you can see we've got that stuck down, kind of holds it in place. We're going to take our sentiment and we're just going to add some maybe 3-dimensionals here to our sentiment. Peel this off and put that right over it. So you won't see any of that adhesive, but you can really see that pretty ribbon, that trim, just goes right with it, right? Perfect. Okay, now let's work on the inside. I've got a piece of, just another piece of basic white. So white on white layers really help our cards to pop, right? But they also give it some added weight and added durability, right, to our cards. So we're just going to go ahead and add that on the inside. And then I'm going to bring back those die cut pieces. And so any of these that you want to use, I think I'm going to use these 2. I'm going to go ahead and add these to the inside of our card. So this time I'm going to put my petal pink, just a little bit of glue, and this will just add a little bit of kind of texture to the inside of our card. And this time we're going to use our Misty Moonlight pot, and we're going to use the lighter side of that, and we'll just go ahead and add that. Now you could take your sander and also add a little bit to this piece, even this piece if you wanted, to just add a little bit of that dimension to there as well. And that's the inside of our card. Easy, right? All right, well now we're just gonna finish this up with a little bit of bling and shine. So I'm gonna bring in my Wink Stella. This is our glitter brush pen. And in these cracks from our embossing folder, I'm just gonna add a little bit of that Wink of Stella kind of shine. So this kind of is an easy way to add like that gold, like, do you see it? That shimmer, you can just add that. So anywhere there's, I'm gonna do it on this one too, anywhere there's that kind of crack, like the story, we'll just put that in on the darker one. You can really see that. There you go. See that sparkle? So it just adds that little bit of texture and dimension even to that, along with our story. Now we need some embellishments. So I'm going to actually use our new Charming Shimmer Faceted Dots. And these have Berry Burst, Night of Navy, and Petal Pink. And so that's the ones we're going to use today, our Petal Pink. So I'm going to take a larger one and kind of put it right here. A smaller one, kind of, whoops, at an angle. And I'm just using my Take Your Pick tool, one of my favorite tools that we have. Just makes grabbing small gems really easy, right? And then I'm gonna put one more large one up at the top. So we kind of have our triangle of 3 there. And an odd number of embellishments always is pleasing to the eye, right? So there is our fun fold, You Inspire Me, with a great story behind it. And we can add our message right inside. So that is today's fun card. I'll bring in our other ones so you can see how they'll vary just a tad, right? Depending on how much you sand, how much you ink blend, and how you let that across, right? Okay, so let me come back on camera so I can say goodbye and thank you for watching today. Remember, if you loved today's card, please like, share, subscribe, and also if you, when you place your online order in my online store, you will get a freebie from me. It comes with enough parts and pieces, all pre-cut, pre-die cut, ready for you to create 3 of today's card. You get a fun little thank you letter from me, and you get today's printed tutorial in that packet, and I get to spoil you with a freebie from me. So that's with any order $50 or more in my online store before tax and shipping. Well, right now there's free shipping, right? And after your rewards that you might use. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys again next week.